Tonight, a drive-through service to mourn the loss of 3 young brothers who died in a house fire.
My boys were rambunctious little bunch, but they loved each other. They always played with each other.
How the family and the community are coming together. Plus,
he had lit a kerosene fire in his truck and his hands had second-degree burns because people are doing anything they can to stay warm.
the desperate situation for some unhoused people on Toronto streets due to the prolonged frigid temperatures and...
So I look outside and my first thought was, well, someone is proposing. Well, that's good for them.
When good for them turned into good for us, we'll introduce you to the Toronto couple behind the proposal that's getting tons of views.
This is CBC Late Night News.
Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. We begin tonight in Brampton, where there is overwhelming grief. The community was rocked a week and a half ago when a fire in a townhouse took the lives of 3 boys. This evening, there was a memorial service, and the parents of the boys spoke of their heartbreak. CBC's Dahlia Ashry has more on how the tragedy is bringing people together.
A Brampton mother and father processing life without their 3 boys.
It still seems surreal. It doesn't seem like it's real. It feels, like it's a dream.
It's just day by day, and it's hard to get over it, but you never get over it, and Daddy loves you.
Remembering his boys as a rambunctious little bunch, 9-year-old Alex known as a bundle of joy, 12-year-old Riley described as smart and talented, and 15-year-old Cohen known for his big hearts.
Both Riley and Alex had high-function autism. So that came with a lot of challenges. Cohen had special needs as well, too.
Their mother, Heather, was dropping their 5-year-old brother off at a daycare at the time. Brampton Fire says the 3 boys were pulled from the home and died in hospital. As the family continues to mourn their 3 boys, Riley, Cohen, and Alex, it's a tragedy felt amongst the entire community, with many paying their respects in a drive past that was set up this evening.
I have kids of my own, so I really feel for the family. It's such a tragedy. It's just heartbreaking.
Heather's longtime friend Crystal Mark saw the boys grow before her eyes.
All of us are grieving, and I think that's why we're all here. We all want to take part and hold onto some of the grief for Heather and for her family.
The office fire marshal was called in to investigate the cause of the fire. They say this month, 17 people have died in fires in Ontario.
I know that smoke alarms can be a nuisance when you're cooking. I know that changing batteries may not be top of mind, but it has to be. I know that pushing a button to test each month is quickly forgotten, but it's the only thing you can do to protect you and your family.
As for the parents, all they're left with is strength.
I've been as strong as I can, not just for myself, but for my other children. It's been a really tough week.
Everybody's just got to hug their children and say they love them, because you never know when the time has come.
There are currently 2 separate fundraisers, money that is being raised through GoFundMe by the Mothers of Malton organization, and that money will be going towards supporting the family, and the rest of the proceeds will be going towards Autism Ontario. A private funeral will be held tomorrow at 11 a.m. Dahlia Ashry, CBC News, Brampton.
Now to the dangerously cold temperatures and its impact on some of the city's most vulnerable. The extreme chill has led to a rise in weather-related visits to the emergency room, specifically for the unhoused. As Dale Manukduk shows us, advocates for those experiencing homelessness say it's only magnifying Toronto's inadequate shelter system.
People sleeping outside are heading to emergency departments due to the cold weather. This as Toronto's warming centers are at capacity and the shelter system nearly full. Jennifer Jewell says one of her friends was kicked out of a shelter 4 months ago and has been outside ever since.
He has frostbite on his face. His hands are swollen and cracked. He can't use his hands very well. My friend doesn't want to go into congregate settings, both for his mental health and because of COVID and the outbreaks.
There were 31 active COVID-19 outbreaks as of Friday in Toronto shelters. Last December, the city identified over 9,000 people experiencing homelessness. Last night, around 7,700 were sheltered. Increased exposure to the cold is causing increased need for medical attention.
Sometimes they have just terrible trench feet, which is the combination of cold and dampness. And we try and give them new socks. We try and give them new shoes.
Dr. Venugopal says the unhoused he speaks with often prefer the streets to the shelters, where some are harassed, if not worse.
There's a lot of violence in this hotel space I'm staying at. There are no supports. There's no mental health support. There's nothing here for people.
In some cases, the unhoused are spending 2 days in the ER staying on the hallway floor, experiencing anything from frostbite to thermal burns.
I saw a man who lives in his truck with his animals, and he had lit a kerosene fire in his truck, and his hands had second-degree burns because people are doing anything they can to stay warm.
The city says 49 spaces were added to the shelter system yesterday, but only 30 were used.
We're talking about a system that was never large enough to cover the homeless population to begin with.
Advocates say they warned the city this would happen and had several recommendations, and are again calling for help at all 3 levels of government.
There needs to be a very clear, defined call for federal aid to step in and help provide emergency spaces, provide appropriate transitions to housing. This is sort of far and above what we can handle as a city.
What everyone agrees on, the city included, is that permanent housing is the only real solution.
This reduces ambulance calls. This reduces ER visits. This reduces polysubstance drug use. This improves mental health. This improves physical health.
Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
And so as much as our city...
Next to our pandemic coverage, and teeing up a significant day tomorrow as the province is set to relax some public health measures once again. Ontario is easing restrictions for businesses like gyms, restaurants, and theaters. It's a day many businesses have been waiting for. Here's a gym owner who says that they are ready to adapt to life with COVID.
Reopening professional, so we had the whole team here cleaning up today. It was nice to finally have some people in the space, and we can't wait to have finally, our members back.
All right, so there still will be limitations with indoor capacity capped at 50%. Proof of vaccination and masking protocols will remain in place as well. And as Ontario reopens gyms, Quebec continues to keep them closed, and that's prompted some protest. Talia Ricci now with what's next for Canada's 2 largest provinces.
Preparing to reopen. For the restaurants that have survived this long, the hope is this is the last time.
It's been really inconsistent this past couple years with our jobs and everything like that.
Some restrictions are lifting in Ontario and Quebec Monday as COVID-19 hospitalizations drop. In Ontario, indoor dining, movie theaters, gyms, and museums will be allowed to reopen at half capacity.
They're not as happy as they would be at 100%, but they'll take what they can get right now.
Quebec is bringing extracurricular sports back to schools, but unlike Ontario, keeping gyms closed. That's moved some in the province to protest.
To send a message to our government, the first thing we have to open is everything that is related to health, related to protecting our mental health and our physical health, as opposed to destroying it.
While hospitalizations in central Canada are falling, hospitals are still facing extraordinary pressure, and experts are wary of a rebound.
People are certainly tired of living this way, but we have to be extremely cautious.
To dine at restaurants, you'll have to prove you're fully vaccinated. Currently, that means 2 doses, but experts have said 3rd doses offer greater protection.
Our suggestions of what constitutes fully vaccinated needs to shift with what the pandemic has thrown at us. So does that mean now we have to move towards 3 doses now being the gold standard? That may be the case.
Those who are ready for a night out are already making plans.
We are super excited to just get back to normal. We do have some reservations coming for next week.
She hopes those bookings continue. In Ontario, restrictions are set to be lifted in phases until March 14th. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
As for the actual COVID data today, the province of Ontario says there are 3,019 hospitalizations as a result of COVID-19 and 58 additional deaths. Meanwhile, the push to get more shots in arms continues. In Toronto, the city's 5 mass immunization centers are now open to walk-ins. Everyone aged 5 and up are eligible to get a COVID vaccine, and anyone 18 years of age or older whose second dose was at least 3 months ago is eligible for a third dose. While the clinics will be welcoming walk-ins, appointments can also still be booked through the online provincial booking system. And for more information on the clinics or to book an appointment, you can visit the City of Toronto's website. As we turn to another story we've been tracking this weekend, here is a look at Ottawa tonight, where protesters continue to demonstrate against COVID vaccine mandates and restrictions. As you can see at this late hour, the crowd appears significantly smaller. It also is expected to reach -20 overnight, so that could certainly be a factor there. And those that remain are certainly defiant. They say they will not leave until their demands are met, and those include no vaccine mandates and an easing of COVID-19 restrictions. Now, Ottawa Police says it is working with organizers to facilitate the safe departure of people and vehicles. And as we continue to keep an eye on that situation, earlier in the day, there were thousands jammed in the nation's capital again today. While Ottawa Police is saying that they're working with organizers to try to clear the area, many protesters that we're speaking to say even as the weekend ends, they will not leave. Travis Danrash reports.
For 24 hours, it's been constant. Horns blaring, protesters and trucks lining the streets outside Canada's Parliament buildings.
What does the police say you gotta go? I'm staying. I'm not leaving until the mandates are gone.
It's not gonna end. Until they do something, it's not gonna end.
That is something organizers of the convoy doubled down on at a press conference. CBC News among the many media outlets not invited to attend.
As long as you keep fueling them, they can sit there for weeks and months. And now we have, I don't know, $8 million?
That money is from the GoFundMe campaign. $1 million has been released to fundraisers, but getting fuel to all of these trucks could pose a problem as the perimeter is expanding around Parliament Hill. The city's core has been virtually shut down for 2 days. Restaurants, retail, liquor stores, the mall, all closed. Frustration among residents is growing.
The residential neighborhoods, and they've been upset and really put out because, quite frankly, they feel they're prisoners in their own home.
Frustration, too, over scenes like this. A statue of Terry Fox targeted, protesters dancing on the tomb of the unknown soldier, and staff at a homeless shelter say they were harassed by protesters looking for food. One arrest has been made. Multiple investigations are underway for vandalism, bribery, and dangerous operation of motor vehicles. What are you going to do to move the trucks?
For those who choose to remain, we'll make that assessment once we understand who's still here.
Are you willing to move in and forcibly remove those vehicles if necessary?
We'll continue to do what we have been doing, which is assessing the risk to the public, balanced against the rights for people to protest.
Travis Danraj, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Canada Border Services Agency is responding today to allegations of Islamophobia after protests took place over the weekend in several major Canadian cities, including here in Toronto. The demonstrations were organized by the Egyptian-Canadian Coalition for Democracy. Now, the group rallied in support of Egyptian families who have filed refugee claims following the 2011 Arab Spring revolution in their homeland. Here in Toronto, dozens gathered outside the federal immigration minister's constituency office, calling on the government to do more to end Islamophobia.
With regards to CBC officers who have been using bogus claims from Islamophobic websites to deny entrance of asylum seekers.
In a statement to CBC News, the Canada Border Services Agency says due to the Privacy Act, it can't comment on specific cases, but it did say that the agency is committed to ensuring all clients are treated equally, regardless of race, gender, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, age, or mental or physical ability. That statement goes on to say when we receive a complaint, the CBSA reviews all allegations of inappropriate behavior, and if warranted, will take the necessary actions called for. A coroner's inquest into a scaffolding collapse which killed 4 men will begin tomorrow. The 4 construction workers died on Christmas Eve back in 2009. After the swing stage they were on collapsed without warning. The men were doing balcony repairs on a Toronto West End high-rise. And the inquest will hear from 3 witnesses, including an engineer, as well as a current and former director at the Provincial Labour Ministry. The lawyer representing the coroner in the inquest says the process will be an opportunity for the jury to take a closer look at the government's response and the changes in health and safety regulations that have been implemented since. Victoria Fan Alvarado joins us now with a look at your weather forecast. And Victoria, it was real chilly out today, but also kind of nice and sunny.
It was real chilly. You have to take the good with the bad sometimes, right? The sun was a nice treat, you know? But overnight temperatures still really cool, feeling like -18. As we head into the morning, though, exact same, -13, feeling like -18. A little bit of a relief, though, through the afternoon. Toronto -4, feeling like -7. Ottawa -9, feeling like -10. Sarnia -4. Feeling like -9. Now, no real systems to report. But the key word is yet in this scenario now. We do have some cloud cover for your Monday. Temperatures are going to get warmer into your Tuesday, 3 degrees. It's going to be nice above the freezing mark, but there is a system on its way. You're going to want to stick around because this is an eventful one. I'll get to you in your long-range forecast.
Dun, dun, dun. It sounds like some dramatic music should be playing or something.
Cliffhanger.
Oh, man. All right. We'll talk to you in a few.
See you later.
The drama, a dream start and an even better finish. Canada defeating the United States 2-0 today in World Cup qualifying. The Canucks would add another goal late to send the Hamilton crowd into a frenzy. With the win, Canada stands atop the CONCACAF leaderboard. Jamie Strachan takes a look now at the excitement that is building around the squad.
For Team Canada, the cheering started when they got off the bus, and it didn't stop all day. On a frigid day better suited for an outdoor hockey game, Canada did what it has been doing for months: win. This time shutting out the Americans 2-0. All without injured star forward Alphonso Davies, who's out with a COVID complication. Again, it was a combination of timely, skillful goals and saves by goalie and team captain Milan Borjan, who grew up in Hamilton.
We want to get our goal, our dream, to go to the World Cup and the world to respect Canada.
For years, Canadian soccer fans had very little to cheer about. That has all changed. The team continued its historic World Cup qualifying run, its 10th straight game undefeated, and for the first time in nearly 40 years, Canadian fans can taste a World Cup berth.
We haven't been able to felt this kind of pride for our whole lives, and we're so close to getting to the goal.
Originally, all 25,000 seats were quickly sold for this game, but COVID restrictions meant only 12,000 were allowed inside.
This Team Canada is just inspiring to me. Just makes me want to play more.
10 games into this grueling 14-game World Cup qualifying campaign, Canada stands alone at the top of their conference. At this point, a spot in November's World Cup isn't guaranteed, but Canada could qualify as early as this week.
People who've always had to wear an Italian shirt or a Serbian shirt, a Greek shirt, they can put them down. That's what we want them to do, and pull on their Canadian jersey now and be proud of us as a football country.
And among fans and players, there is now pride and swagger. It's been a long time coming. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Hamilton.
All right, and while the team is red hot, the weather certainly is not. Here's a live look at Windsor, where it's currently -14. Coming up, Victoria will be back with a full look at your weather forecast and when that snow is set to come. Stay with us. Finally, tonight, one pandemic proposal is melting the hearts of a lot of people in one Toronto neighborhood. And if you live downtown, you may have seen "Marry Me" written out in the snow. Jonathan Treveg, he did this with the help of his brother for his girlfriend of 3 years. But as often these sorts of things go, it didn't go exactly as planned.
Somebody was excitedly watching out the window and noticed the greatest typo of all time, and actually rushed down to go inform him that he had been spelling it wrong. And that's where he spent the next 30 minutes kind of scraping it off. It was very tough. It was like ice, basically, right? So he spent the next 30 minutes scraping it off to replace it with an A.
All right, but no matter what was written, he was able to fix the sign before the couple got home, and that is when Jonathan popped the question.
I called her and said, hey, there's something outside, and why don't you come take a look?
So I look outside, and my first thought was, well, someone is proposing. Well, that's good for them. And it turned out to be me. Yeah. And then I turn around and he's there with a ring.
Oh, so happy for them. Spoiler alert, she of course said yes, and the proposal gained traction online. Many neighbors wondered who the lucky lady might be, or if in fact it maybe was them. The couple said they heard cheers from their balcony and that wedding planning will start once it all sets in. Congratulations again to the happy couple. So nice to have something positive to cheer for and to be happy about. But I know, Victoria, you have a little bit of potential bad news for some people if they don't like the snow.
Potentially not the best news, but we gotta love love, right?
Yes, we do.
We do have a low headed right on top of the GTA. We're gonna get into all of this right now. As we take a look at our temperatures, I mentioned this is a key significant part of our story. 3 degrees, it's fairly warm. But we have Arctic air up in the north, and this warm air is coming from the south, which leaves us with 2 possible scenarios. The first scenario, the warm air lingers on Tuesday. That's going to cause mixy and icy precipitation. Now, if the Arctic air takes over the warm air, that's when we have cold and heavy snow. Now, here at the Weather Network, we have high confidence that this will impact your commute, and we actually have new news that we have high confidence that this could be an event from Wednesday to Friday. It is a 72-hour event, different than the one we saw about 2 weeks ago because it is going to live a little longer. Now, the precipitation type and coverage is a medium confidence because of that Tuesday temperature specifically. Here's your 7-day forecast here. We do get warmer by next weekend, but that is still a ways away. As we head into Ottawa, this 7-day forecast, a little cooler there, but same situation. Wednesday and Thursday, that's where we could see that snow. Now, if option 2 is the scenario, we could see something like this. Yeah, that's me bundled up. Don't mind my fashion sense there. It was a really cold day, but this is my dog Rojo. He too is bundled up, and he loves playing in the snow. I feel like the snow, it is. You could take the good with the bad there in that situation, right?
Rojo, what a sweetheart. And Victoria, I brought a photo for you. I went to Rouge National Urban Park this weekend in Scarborough, and this is a lovable pup named Nico, good friend of mine's dog. And we just had a great day enjoying all the snow out there. Isn't it lovely?
That is so lovely. Nico and Rojo, maybe they can hang out sometime.
Oh, I'm sure Nico would love that. Thanks, Victoria.
Thank you so much.